start with part of a reading called The Unwritten Hours, and then my part of the homily, and then Marie will finish that.
Thank you.
Okay. The clock no longer calls my name. Its brass hands drift in someone else's sky. I rise when the light feels right, not when the whistle splits the dawn. The desk is a quiet shore I've left behind, papers like shells scattered for others to find. A lot of my past services talked about life lessons. Who could forget life lessons from Willy Wonka? And the one I did with one of my favorite collaborators, Marie Tweed, Life Lessons from the Turtle. I was talking with someone recently about that new Netflix movie with Sally Field, Remarkably Bright Creatures. If you haven't seen it, you must. And thought, maybe another life lesson from the octopus's point of view, as they are so smart. Also, I'm never eating calamari again. So what has happened recently in my life that I could build a service around that would be meaningful to you all and hopefully provide a takeaway or two? When presenting a service, just for those of you who may want to do this, you always want to add a personal note to it. So how about that major life step called retirement? Once again, I asked Marie if she'd like to participate with me, and she gladly said yes. So we're going to talk about two different perspectives. Myself, who is newly retired, July 3rd will be a year, talking about the lead up to that first year. Then Marie, who's been retired for 17 years now. And what has her journey been, and where is she now? I'm looking forward to hearing about that, what's to come. So for those of you who have retired, a lot of these things will probably ring a bell. But for those of you who are younger, what we're hoping is this might provide some perspective into your parents, other family members, or older friends, and give you a sense of what's coming. So when you start to think about retirement, there's a lot of emotions involved. It's a bit scary, especially if you're someone like me who made the job a giant chunk of themselves. I had structure to my day and fit the other pieces of my life into that like a puzzle, with many not fitting in, and they had to get put to the side. Also, the job brought me validation of my worth, something that even at my age, I find I still need. So where would that come from now? But the job was changing. I was turning 70, and I didn't want to learn anything more at this point. Also, I've been supervising people for most of my career, and for those of you who have done this or do it now, you know how draining that can be. When you get older, just don't care as much anymore about getting everybody going in the same direction. How's the morale of the team? It's, I don't really care anymore. Motivate yourself, you know? That's what I say. I did decide to keep a side teaching job in insurance. I figured that would keep my brain engaged a little bit. I enjoy it, and they pay me for it. Another scary piece, of course, is the money. Did I put enough aside to be able to enjoy my retirement, as how long I may be here is unknown. We have some sense from our family history, and mine's not all that great. But as decades go by, lifestyles are different. My family all smoked, I do not, and there are better drugs and tests to detect things early. For the financial piece, my biggest advice to everyone would be to make sure no matter what your salary is, that you are putting away in a 401k or a Roth as much as you possibly can afford to put in, especially if your company provides any kind of a match, and have a good advisor. I have a good one if you need one. The non-scary part is that you can leave all that behind and launch a new era of your life. So you go for it. Your team throws you a wonderful party. You've set up Social Security, Medicare supplement, and now you are retired. Your day is a blank canvas. You don't have to worry as much about getting your chores, such as groceries and cleaning, done on the weekends, because Saturday and Sunday are just 2 other days. They just all kind of blend together. I personally was also worried about becoming sedentary. I have a great recliner and many TV channels. But this is partly because of what happened with my mother. When she retired and moved back to Maine, she just sat. She was worn out And because she had worked all her life and then back in those days came home, scrubbed floors, cleaned the house at night, she had no hobbies outside of reading. This did not go well for her and definitely shortened her life. I have some of the health issues that she had, such as high blood pressure, so I think of this often, and it's definitely guided me to sometimes overcommit to things, for those of you who know me. But what about those passions you've always been thinking about, those things you put off to the side that you haven't had time to do? How can you fill your new empty plate in a way that brings you joy and some balance? Are you crafty? Are you an artist? I've always done something, a lot of it with fabric, so sewing, especially when I didn't have any money and needed to make presents for people. What I like is that you can see the results of your labor. You actually hold something in your hand. John Michael, you might know about that with all the things that you do. You have a piece. And with my job, I never had anything like that I could have as a tangible takeaway. So now I want to do more of that. And the first thing is to clean out my craft room because I can't even walk through it. It's got so much fabric in it. Maybe I can even sell some of it to people who are into small quilted pieces of Frida Kahlo or cats with sequins and other embellishments. I have pictures if you want to see. Giving back. I've been blessed in my life, and a lot of people, especially now, are not. So how can I give back to society in a meaningful way? I just want to be a worker bee now. Tell me what's needed and I will help. Just don't ask me to lead the effort. That hasn't always worked out well. I found a couple of wonderful organizations that came to me in unusual ways, which I think means they were meant to be. One is a combination cat cafe and thrift store in my town, which benefits multiple groups. The woman who runs it has an incredible vision for her space and is a super giver. I found her when someone on Facebook was asking for a volunteer job, and she posted that she had one. And when I saw it involved cats, I immediately responded. I help take care of the therapy cats. You pay and you go in and you can play with the cats for a half hour, sort through the donations and get first dibs on some really cool stuff, such as the sequin purse many of you commented on. I've also been chosen to serve on the board of 2 organizations related to aging. The Northampton County Area on Aging Advisory Council and the Pennsylvania Council on Aging, where I will represent Northampton County. I ran into someone I knew from another board, and she had told me about the local group. I thought, I'm an aging person. It'd be good to know what the issues are for myself and others and try to help. So I'm just getting into that. So that'll be interesting. I have a couple of other things I'd like to be involved with, but for now that's enough. So that's off to the side. Friends. Even if you have a partner and family or children, your friends become very important to you at this time of life. You're going to need more help than you might have before. And for those of you who have cats, they're really no good at all with that kind of stuff. Our bodies start to deteriorate, and you may need to have parts replaced. I struggle with asking for help, but it's necessary. And no one ever says no, so I don't know why I'm like that, but my family's not local. I've become an Ethel, and I can explain that to you later if you don't know what an Ethel is. And I've met a whole new group of age-appropriate friends, and we do things like wine tasting, listening to music. It's been great. Self-care. I've started paying more attention to myself and treating myself on a regular basis to things such as facials. You know, that skin is aging and it's all dehydrated. Massages for those sore joints and aches, and hair color. My real hair color is horrible. These all give me a lift, and fortunately I have the funds to do it. Another part is exercise, which is definitely not a passion of mine. But because of the family story I relayed, I need to do it. So yoga, walking, weights, now part of my regime, but I really have to push myself to do them, knowing if I don't, what the outcome could be. Church community, and of course there are you all, my church family. I have much more time now to help, and we know that help here is always needed. I find joy in seeing you every week, and we have such great energy building. I'm very excited to see what happens. So to close, how's the first year been, Sue, you might ask? I would say pretty good. I think I have a rhythm. Some days and weeks are very busy, as my friends have commented, and then some are very empty, so I can just relax. I've traveled. I went to Italy last year and made some family visits to Florida this year. And I'd like to go on another trip in the fall, maybe overseas. I've done more crafts, and I will actually be trying to sell them at a show in September. Had a lot of doctor's appointments, and will be replacing my hip in November. I've joined a book club, which has gotten me back into reading, something I was voracious about when I was younger, but had lost the brain capacity to enjoy it in more recent years. And I am looking forward to hear what Marie has to say about looking forward. Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
And now for the second part of the reading. Now the tide carries me to softer coasts, gardens humming with bees, paths that bend without hurry. I measure days in cups of tea, in the slow bloom of a rose, in the laughter of friends that lingers longer than lunch breaks. Work once carved my hours into stone. Now time is a river, and I am barefoot in its shallows, letting the water decide where I might go next. Soon after I retired, I presented a sermon about my retirement plans. So when Sue asked if I would join her and speak about retirement as a long retired person, I said, sure. Then I thought about it and told her, I can't do that. Retirement is just another phase of life. Nothing particularly special after you've been retired a while. And as Sue mentioned, I've been retired for 17 years. Feeling relief from the stresses of a work schedule that Sue mentioned are long past. I'm in a different routine. The famous quote from Mr. Holland's opus, "Life is what happens while you're busy planning other things," definitely applies. So for those of you who may feel this topic has little to do with you, I think, maybe hope, my reflection will spark some thoughts about your priorities, whatever your life stage. The specifics are different for each of us, but the generalities apply to everyone. Maintaining and growing your connection to family, friends, and acquaintances is the most important thing when you are retired. The first thing I hear from friends who are recently retired is that they most miss seeing and chatting with their coworkers every day. Those people who know a bit about you and your family. If you drink coffee and how you like it, what mischief your older child has gotten into, the book you just finished that you couldn't put down. Aside from a few close work friends, my experience is that those connections fade without the daily chit-chat, and as you have less in common with your former colleagues. So how do you replace those everyday connections? It's unlikely that you will, although some people say social media fills the gap. Since I don't use social media, I can't comment, although I do text, talk, and email with friends and family often. Staying connected provides the opportunity to remember people and experiences we shared. When it mysteriously pops in my head, I can ask my college friend, remember Western Civ and Professor Audie? Remember when he asked where Pulaski's statue was in the public garden, and someone responded it was the guy on the horse near Charles Street? For the record, he exclaimed, "My God, that's George Washington." Who besides my brother and cousins will remember what it felt like to be in my grandfather's house, and that you avoided using the bathroom in winter because it wasn't heated? Or remember the train in Uncle Eddie's backyard, and how Dad and Uncle Eddie ended up in the grass when it derailed? I find it rewarding to learn about new people and their experiences by building new connections. One way to do this is to volunteer or join groups that share your interests. You may have some false starts, but that's okay, and your interests may change. Giving to others is an opportunity to contribute to the community as well as make new friends. Decide where your passion lies. The need is great. So are the opportunities. Second Harvest, the Literacy Center, nature centers, soup kitchens, to name a few. I say that I dabble in knitting, quilting, and sewing. I enjoy them all, but I'm not devoted to perfecting my skill in any one of them. I do a passable job at each and enjoy attending my knitting group and taking quilting classes, making new acquaintances with similar interests. Daniel Coyle, who recently published the book Flourish, The Art of Building Meaning, Joy, and Fulfillment, says community is at the heart of flourishing. This church community is a great place to build those connections. Coming to services is one way to meet people, but working on a shared interest, volunteering, is how you really get to know them. I've been attending this church for more than 45 years, starting when my children were small. My initial involvement was teaching religious education. Over the years, my involvement as a member or leader of various committees has expanded my connections. The friends I have made here remain an important and caring part of my life. Getting outside is another key to my contentment. I try to walk every day, and while I'd like to hike again, I am not currently able to deal with steep inclines. Now, there are really only 2 walks from my house. For those of you who don't know me, I live in the country, and roads that are safe to walk on are limited. I have learned that even on those 2 familiar paths, I can observe something new every day if I really look. It might be a new wildflower, a luna moth that just hatched, or the smell of a freshly plowed field. I occasionally encounter a neighbor and have a brief conversation, perhaps about the dog, the fillies, the wind, or health issues that had kept them from walking. A recent episode of The Pulse on WHYY radio discussed happiness, reporting that getting outside for however short a time is one of the things people find most satisfying. Eric Zillmer, founder of the Happiness Lab at Drexel, and who knew that Drexel had a happiness lab, challenged his students to share places in Philadelphia that make them happy. Most of the places where the students found a serene or peaceful presence were outside. So get outside, even if you only sit on your patio or balcony. Go to a park. There are many beautiful places in the Lehigh Valley. Don't use the weather as an excuse. In summer, find shady places. Enjoy a babbling creek. In winter, remember, according to surveys, the Finnish people are the happiest people in the world, and they are outside all winter despite the cold climate. I'm happy to share some of my local favorite places with you. And if getting outside is really impossible, Zillmer says you can find the same serenity in a special and beautiful place inside. So create that place in your home that brings you comfort and joy. Keeping your brain active, as Sue mentioned, instead of mindless scrolling is another way to stay engaged. Consider taking a class at one of the local colleges. Many of them are free or low cost for older folks. Short duration online classes cover a wide variety of topics Short duration online classes covering a wide variety of topics are offered by many large institutions. Learn new skills and continue to practice what you find rewarding. Perhaps it's journaling, making music, playing pickleball, doing puzzles or reading, or better yet, all of these and more will keep you interested in what is happening around you. I enjoy playing the New York Times games Wordle and Connections on a daily basis. They are a quick wake-me-up each morning. And I enjoy reading a variety of genres. However, I have failed at journaling since I don't seem to have the discipline to make it a routine part of my life. As to learning new skills, some have been successful, like quilting and yoga, while others, such as pottery, have been abysmal failures. I wore more clay than went into the couple of pieces I created. Not succeeding is okay. You tried it and learned it wasn't for you. Something else will come along that will pique your interest. So I've talked about 3 things that I have found that make for a happy life in retirement, or perhaps any stage of life. Connection, being outside or someplace that makes you happy, and staying mentally active. An important thing to keep in mind is that wherever you are now, things will change. You, your partner if you have one, your friends may develop medical issues and need more help. Your friends may move away. You may move to be closer to family or to seek a different climate or lifestyle. While this is true at any stage of life, it becomes more likely as we age. If we have expanded our social network, we will have support while we mourn the losses and gradually find ways to adapt. As the chameleon in our story this morning, we may change our color, but if we can do it with the support of others, our burden is lifted. The chameleon was dismayed when he felt he had no color of his own, but when he found a friend who changed color as he did, he found happiness, which brings me back to the importance of staying connected and building new connections. Our church community gives each of us a chance to be part of something larger by helping others through the food bank, the homeless shelter, Ceasefire PA, supporting immigrants, and more. We have the opportunity to try new things through social action initiatives, providing hospitality on Sunday morning, teaching religious education, helping with the auction, a spaghetti luncheon, programming for the forum, serving as a worship associate, to name a few. Become involved, make those new connections, challenge your brain, and enjoy the beautiful spaces around you. In closing, I'd like to share the poem Age by Nikki Giovanni. In youth, our ignorance gives us courage. With age, our courage gives us hope. With hope, we learn that man is more than the sum of what he does. We also are what we wish we did, and age teaches us that even that doesn't matter.